Jake Paul believes that COVID is a hoax and that most news is fake. Here's all we know. I'm Perez Hilton.
I'm Emily Marcus.
I'm Gabby Conte, and this is Live with Perez Hilton. Jake Paul is no stranger to controversy. Just this year alone, the YouTuber turned boxer had a bizarre hotel tiff with Zayn Malik in Vegas, was accused of looting a mall riot in Scottsdale, Arizona, had the FBI raid his home and confiscate weapons, and has been throwing several maskless, massive parties during the pandemic as cases are rising. Jake just chatted with the Daily Beast, where he opened up about his controversial past, starting with the Disney Channel, where he claims he wasn't fired because of noise complaints in his neighborhood, as people have been saying, but rather it was, quote, a mutual decision to split from each other because they weren't paying him enough and he was making more money with YouTube and merch. As for the mall looting and destruction, he claims he had nothing to do with the people next to him who were breaking storefronts and shooting off fireworks. He could not comment on the FBI situation, but he did comment on his massive maskless parties by saying, I think the disease is a hoax, and, quote, later in his interview, he said, quote, 98% of news is fake, so how do we know what's actually real and what we're supposed to do? End quote. He then went on to claim that medical professionals have said that masks do nothing to prevent the spread of the virus.
Okay, there is a lot to get into here. Let me start off, though, by giving you all some insight into the kind of person that Jake Paul is, because I think I know him very well, as I know a Trisha Paytas, or as I even know myself. This is a little self-reflection here, okay? We have to remember that not everything is as it seems, meaning, why is he saying this and why now? It should be noted that Jake Paul, in addition to his not as successful as before YouTube career, his views are way down. He is also an aspiring musician and as well an aspiring boxer. And he's got a match coming up.
Well, yeah, and this interview was actually his people reached out to the Daily Beast asking them to interview Jake. Not the Daily Beast reached out to Jake, and the interview was to promote his match.
Exactly.
And of course, the interviewer, after asking him questions about the match, got into the controversial things that Jake has done. Because why would he not do that?
The point I want to make, though, is he's not the brightest person, but like Donald Trump, he is media savvy. So he knows that if he says stupid, controversial, hurtful things, his one interview will then avalanche and get him much more press. Now, I'm all for trolling and getting attention for yourself. Hello, my name is Perez Hilton. But this is where I take exception, because we are still in the middle of a pandemic, and that idiot lives in Los Angeles, where we live as well. And right here, right now, the COVID situation has exploded. Just this week, we set a new daily record. It's totally out of control. And when you're saying lies, it just makes people who believe or are skeptical agree with you, and it emboldens them. And you know what's insane? This is insane. You know what is insane?
What?
Jake Paul's mother is a nurse.
What?
She's a nurse, and he is saying crap like this.
I feel like he has the mindset that like any press is good press, and then he completely like contradicted himself and just rerouted mid-interview after saying that. It's like, I don't want to elaborate. You're asking me leading questions. It's almost like he broke the fourth wall and he realized how much of a douche canoe he's being.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interviewer was like correcting him as he was saying these fake facts. And the thing that really blows my mind is there is no medical professional has ever said that masks don't work.
That's what he is parroting what he heard Donald Trump say.
Yeah, I've actually heard medical professionals say that different types of masks have different levels of effectiveness, but masks work, guys. There's even a TikTok where someone put a mask over a shower head and water does not come out as the shower's on.
Wow. And like I said, his views are down, but he still gets a lot of views, and his audience is still predominantly young. And young people are the ones that are super spreaders. They're the ones that are not caring, that are throwing birthday parties like Avani, the TikTok star, who had an 18th birthday celebration, and are not listening to what needs to be done. just to reiterate, Jake
It's
Paul
like
and
so
everybody else.
I mean, the whole idea of this boxing match is like in of itself, but this article is going to get so many eyes on it, like because people who are like obsessed in the boxing world and that's so much anticipation. So he's not only getting his fans, he's drawing in a ton of other people who are watching him say that it's all a hoax.
He's also been selective about media appearances and speaking out because of the FBI raid that happened. So since that raid, he's been relatively quiet. He can't speak on behalf of it. We still don't know why the FBI was in his house. I mean, it wasn't.
Well, the FBI did say that it was in relation to the incident in Arizona, where he and those other people were at a mall and there was looting, and he addressed this in the interview. But I mean, I wish I would have been interviewing him. Yeah, okay, you're not responsible for the other people, but you are responsible for yourself. And you had no business being there in the first place. Right,
because he's bringing more attention, and also his fans, I'm sure, were trying to impress him, and you know, it was definitely riling people up. Yeah, in the interview he said, I'm not anyone's dad, which like people aren't saying that, but take some responsibility if you're around people and they're doing this sort of thing.
It's wild.
You have a platform, like pay attention.
Yeah.
There is only a 2-year age difference between Jake Paul and his older brother, Logan. But Logan really seems to have matured in very meaningful and apparent ways. But Jake Paul is the same Jake Paul that he's always been. And, you know, it's a missed opportunity. I think it also is a reason why his career is floundering. Mm-hmm. He's not as hot as he used to be. If you stack Jake Paul against a Charli D'Amelio, who just celebrated 100 million followers on TikTok and is doing all these other things, or if you stack him against Addison Rae, or even Lil Huddy, who's going to be starring in the Machine Gun Kelly movie, or against Bryce Hall, who's launched all these businesses, Jake Paul pales in comparison by every metric this year. And that's the result of his own doing, because nobody's rooting for him.
Yeah.
People are watching him, but we're not rooting for him. And he doesn't get that. As is evidenced in this interview, the only thing that matters to him, and I understand it, the only thing he cares about is getting attention. And I'm usually more than okay with that. But in this situation where it directly affects so many people, I'm not okay with it. And he should have seen the bigger picture. Some things are more important than just getting attention for yourself in your boxing match and your music career that's never going to happen.
It's just very sad, because he does, even though maybe his career is not really on the up and up, he still does have this massive platform. He still has these fans. A lot of his fans are young and impressionable. And he did spend a lot of this interview talking about how he doesn't think it's fair that these kids are being robbed of their experience. But like, the bottom line is that this pandemic's very real. Young people can get it. They are super spreaders, as you said, Perez. And also, this is something that, like, there's people that are completely defenseless against this, and every single day the cases are on the rise. It's not fair to them at all, and it keeps on getting worse. And until we have a vaccine, this is a very serious thing that we shouldn't be saying is fake news, because it's not fake news.
And even speaking of being robbed of their experience in kids, because of people like Jake Paul, my kids have not been in school since March.
Yeah.
That's robbing them of an experience. The experience that Jake Paul's talking about is having fun. You can have fun at home by yourself.
And there's also
playing Minecraft or whatever the hell it is you like to do.
Or a Zoom party with your friends. Those are all different things you can do.
You know, if you're watching now, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Zoom is doing something really cool that hopefully will encourage people to just stay home. Don't intermingle amongst households. Usually Zoom has a time limit on a free session.
Oh, yeah.
But for Thanksgiving, there is no time limit. So you can get drunk if you're of legal age and just drink the day and night away with your friends all over the city that you live in, all over the state, all over the country, all over the world.
I love
Do that instead.
Yes.
Anything being said in the comments section?
In the comments, people are saying, you know, how is COVID fake? Like, what we wouldn't be wearing masks if it was fake. Some people are saying that they know people, like, or their family members have had it. People are dying of this, you know.
Once again, this is why I am so relieved and grateful that Emily Murphy lady, who's been responsible and was delaying the letting the transition begin between the Trump administration and the Biden administration finally said, okay, it's time. And it's apparent to everyone now that Joe Biden is indeed the legitimate president-elect, and he's going to be the next president. But people are saying things like COVID isn't real and the news isn't real because it's been 4 years of brainwashing by the most important person in this country. And it's just insane to me. Actually, I'm going to just drop this in because it's, my time here. Earlier today, Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's wife, wrote and released an op-ed in the New York Times, noteworthy for many reasons, one of which is that she reveals that this summer, in July, she had a miscarriage. And she also addressed that we are living in a day and age where people are refusing to accept facts as facts.
Right.
And it's because of Donald Trump. They'll justify it saying things like, the state governments are lying about the numbers. They're inflating the numbers. Or I've even heard ridiculous things like, if somebody dies that has COVID in a car crash, they're going to list COVID as the cause of death and not the car crash. That is what people say to justify their ignorance and their brainwashing.
Well, and also a lot of these people believe in conspiracy theories. People go to conspiracy theories. Oh, Emily, okay. Well, I just really want to what I was saying is that a lot of the people who believe in this believe in conspiracy theories. People believe in conspiracy theories because it's answers to what they feel is the unexplainable. And instead of just realizing that life is hard and things suck and these things happen, they just are telling themselves it's fake. Emily, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with Logan coming out and saying a comment, like there's not Logan, Jake, there's so many eyes on screens now, like more so than ever before. Like that's why TikTok exploded during COVID and like nobody knew what the hell it was before. It was like Musical.ly, some app that like barely even existed. Like the amount of people paying attention and like scrolling and consuming news and clickbait has like more than tripled. So his audience times 1 trillion is paying attention to this, and it's just like so dangerous. It's just crazy to me.
And which is also why you should always check your sources. Everything that we read here, the source, and when we're talking, it's our opinions. But this interview is literally straight from the source. It is this article is simply just a transcription, and you could read it on the Daily Beast of Jake Paul speaking to the Daily Beast and a reporter there. That's it. And there is nothing here that we're making up because it's just that cutthroat.
I wish him well. I mean, I see his future, and unless he changes, it's not a bright future for him. I mean, look at his...
This kind of celebrity, this clickbait, look at me, is like not the long-term, the short-term strategy.
Some people, like, for most, but then, you look at Trisha Paytas, and she's been able to sustain doing exactly what Jake Paul is doing.
Yeah.
And
without crossing a line to like being horribly offensive and like
this. Well, she is. And so is he.
She's not, putting people's lives in danger.
I mean, she called Charlie D'Amelio's sister the R word yesterday, which is a slur towards people with different learning abilities and different abilities. Let's not get into Trisha Paytas because that's a whole other 30-minute show. But it is a good comparison though, because Trisha now is in her 30s. Whereas Jake Paul is in his early 20s. And I'm not excusing his behavior. I think in your early 20s, you should still know better than all of this, especially because he's been around for
a decade almost.
Almost. Right? Like he began on Vine when he was a young teenager. He's been around. He knows how to play the game. And he's also had an audience. And with that, this responsibility for a while now that he's shown to us repeatedly that he does not care. Trisha Paytas is still a lot of awful things, but in her own way has mellowed out a bit, has matured. And listen, maybe, hopefully that'll happen to Jake Paul with age now. I just wish that given the seriousness of this topic and everything that's going on right now still with no vaccine at all, that he would take this more seriously like everybody else would. And that's what's so frustrating. Let us reiterate the obvious. The fact that where Jake Paul lives and the three of us talking right now live, that we are continuing to have this explosion in COVID cases, it means that people are not listening.
No.
People are over it, and I get it. COVID fatigued too, but I'm going to do what we need to do to be done with it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let us know what you think about Jake Paul's interview with the Daily Beast and what you think about these ridiculous claims that he's saying. Let us know. I'm Gabby Conti.
I'm Emily Marcus.
And I am Perez Hilton.
And follow us at Hollywire for your 24/7 celebrity news.